The stream's just my life day to day. Like the Truman Show. Why is my life worth watching? Well, I'm building a robot army, a drone army, two 3D video games that will be AAA quality games and sell millions of copies. I'm building an intelligent self-driving car using just a normal car. I'm going to convert it. I'm going to convert my normal car also into a hybrid. I'm building robot whales that grow crops inside of them, robot sharks that eat fish, a robot crab that has a metal detector and crawls around beaches looking for coins, a paramotor, a flying rocket, the list goes on quite a bit further as well. So if any of those projects sound interesting, and you want to see a young Tony Stark or the next Elon Musk rising up, then you've come to the right place. If not, if you don't like robots and stuff, or you don't like video game development, then you've come to the wrong place. Everything I just told you is absolutely not a joke at all. Well, you might think it's a joke. Oh, I left out one. This one's a recent one, that's why I forgot about it. It's a robot arm that lives inside your car. And when you pull up to a gas station, it pumps your gas for you. So you don't have to get out of your car. None of those bots are far-fetched at all. I can explain to you in tedious, exhaustive detail every single aspect of building all of those bots. How it's done, product names and numbers, all the engineering, everything. There's not a thing I don't understand fully to execute to the entirety all of these plans I just mentioned. And I will do it. Oh, and I'm also going to be a musician and an artist. And a prolific software developer, which a lot of that already is a given since I told you what I'm doing. A lot of that's software related. I'm a modern day Renaissance man. The arm will be mounted right next to your gas cap. Your gas cap needs to be shifted over a little bit. So that's the only modification to the actual car. And then the arm will be stored in the car, and it will exit when you pull up to get gas. It will swipe a credit card, which it keeps in its compartment with it, locked away. It will swipe the credit card. It will enter in your PIN or whatever. Select your fuel type. Grab the gas handle. Unscrew the gas cap. Well, I'll need to do that first. Then grab the gas handle. Then pump the gas. Etc. Very simple. It will have a small camera in its palm so that it can see what it's doing. The game dev's going great. I created an exhaustive game development design plan, and now I created an exhaustive plan for, in great detail, the game engine and how the servers are going to work and how the scaling will work as far as like scaling the number of servers to support the online aspect, online multiplayer. And then I went into great detail designing and planning my rendering engine for rendering the graphics. I worked on the game development for about 20 hours over the past 3 days. Well, the game probably won't be finished for another 50 years, at least. It's actually 2 games, though. I'm going to release 2 different games. I'm going to develop them in tandem, side by side. I think that's just a funner way to do it than complete one game and then start the next one. I'd rather just build them both at once. I can't tell you what school I went to. I can just say that I did not graduate, but when I dropped out of school, I was the top ranked GPA of my entire university. And that was my junior year. No, that was the end of my sophomore year. Whoa, Ice Cosine. The good news is you'll get to see me building the game over the course of the 50 years. It just won't be necessarily released till about 50 years. So, I mean, it's going to have a playable alpha prior to that, I'm sure. Maybe in as soon as like 5 years, you could like run around in the game and stuff. But I don't know that I'm going to like publicly release keys to that. Somebody said a early access game is you only get one actual game release, and if that's early access, that's your only release. If you call that a soft release and then you try to release again, you're only going to get the media and exposure that one time. So I don't believe in early access releases then. I'd rather just release it once it's ready. As a matter of fact, I do have an invention I could show you, but I won't. And that invention has been brought to market and has been enormously profitable to me. And it's part of why I can support this lavish lifestyle of mine. But I cannot show you it. The cool thing is, Opius, you can ask me any question about like robotics and I can tell you the answer. So like if you're skeptical, like this guy probably doesn't know this, I can literally say, yeah, I do know that. And so eventually you'll be like, well, he knows his stuff, and if you have the knowledge, then it's just a matter of execution. And I've demonstrated excellent skills with my hands, from art to part fabrication, and even soldering skills. So what is there left? And software development skills? Don't even get me started. I'm one of the best coders in the world. You don't think I'm the best coder, Ice Cosine? You better shut your filthy mouth if you know what's good for you. I didn't say I'm the most orthodox coder, I said I'm the best coder. Any coder, from beginner to expert to intermediate, of any language can look at my code and say, this is very easy to follow, very easy to understand. I know exactly what's going on, I know exactly what this code is achieving, and I can debug this code with ease. That's a sign of a good coder. My code is ridiculously simple to comprehend and follow. And I think that's what code should be. It should be not only easy for the computer to understand, but easy for other coders to understand. I wish more coders would copy my style, but I'm not famous enough yet to have that kind of influence over the software development community. I can't tell you why I can't tell you about my product. And I have more than one product I invented that makes me substantial income. Hi, Silver Slugs. So there's actually several inventions that I sell. And I do no marketing, so my sales are kind of slow, but that's fine. Like, I don't want to scale sales until I first scale manufacturing and automation because my time's too valuable. So I'm developing machines right now that will be able to streamline and automate all the manufacturing processes for all of my products. Once I have streamlined, automated manufacturing, then I'm going to begin a very expensive and time-consuming marketing campaign for all of my products that will be indefinite. It's just going to keep going. I'll keep dumping money in and dumping money in. I'll learn the cost of customer acquisition, and I'll be willing to pay big money on ads every month, month in and month out, going forward. One of my mistakes was not really figuring out how to trace what a specific ad is doing to my sales. I didn't know if the sales are good just because word of mouth or if I'm getting sales from a specific ad. The key is to have the ad point to a URL that places a identifier onto their computer, like a cookie, and then when they go to buy the product, that cookie will be put in, which will give credit to the ad that sent them to your product, to your website to begin with. And so that ad would then prove itself. And then you could calculate, based on the cost per click of that ad, the cost of customer acquisition based on that ad. That's the key. Otherwise, you don't know, and so you're spending possibly hundreds of dollars a month, and you have no idea how much it's even helping. And if you can then use the cost of customer acquisition, factor that into your sales, and use that as a business expense, and consider that in the pricing of your product, you can pay your hundreds of dollars a month in advertising guilt-free, knowing exactly what impact it has and knowing that the advertisements pay for themselves. No, I don't have any products that are Shark Tank type products. They take only certain types of products. My car refueling robot arm would be a Shark Tankable product, I think, but the thing is, I would not be willing to sell equity to a shark. I would say, okay, sharks, today I have my product, here's what it is, here's what it does. I want $50,000 for 0% equity. You just get to have the pleasure of knowing that you did business with the next Elon Musk. You get the pride of knowing that you put your money toward a guy that's changing the world. And I don't think the sharks would really be motivated by that pitch. They want profits. Whoa, what do you mean I'm a glorified mechanic? First of all, thanks for calling me a mechanic. Just because I own a car and decided one day I'm sick of paying a mechanic when I can do this myself. I'm smart enough. I can watch a YouTube video and follow the instructions. And therefore, I made some videos on that for my YouTube channel, which happened to do very well. That doesn't make me a glorified mechanic. First and foremost, I'm the world's leading roboticist and the world's leading expert on artificial intelligence. Okay, I've never built a robot, but that doesn't mean I'm not the world's leading roboticist. It's all about how much knowledge, skill, and creativity you have and your potential, and your willingness, motivation, and guarantee to execute on that potential. All of which I have the very most of. That's what makes me the world's leading roboticist and AI developer. Although, in terms of AI, I actually have done quite a bit. I'm not a liar! And I don't even make that much money on Twitch. I've been streaming 3 years and made like $1,200. And everybody that gave me that money thought I was a joke, but they just gave me money because I amused them. So that isn't like some kind of deception happening. Like if I was tricking people and they were actually believing I was a roboticist but I wasn't, which is the argument you're making, then that would be a scam. But nobody that has ever watched my streams ever thought I really am going to be a successful roboticist. And so they stay to laugh at me. So there's no deception there. The real irony, however, is that all of my bold claims are completely true, and everyone's going to get their mind blown when I actually do prove to the world I'm the world's leading roboticist. I lack a lot of proof right now. You want to see a project? You can see my entire list of projects in the Twitch description. Look at the list of finished projects in the Twitch description, and then cross-reference that list with my Art by Robot YouTube channel, and you can see videos of the projects completed. You can also see videos covering every project I've started and where I'm at so far in the process. My YouTube channel has every project on it. Current, ongoing, and completed. Yes, I'm building a paramotor. And it's gotta be a double, because I want to be able to fly with my wife. We'll travel the world with our paramotor flying next to each other. Obviously, we'll take like a commercial flight to somewhere, and then we'll have the paramotor with our luggage, and then we'll assemble it, and then fly it around for sightseeing. It will be way better than just walking around or taking a cab. We'll just fly around historical sites and hope the police don't shoot us down. Well, one of my projects in the works is a CNC machine that will cut out the squares for me. Maybe I'll make a banana eating machine that will just spray pre-chewed bananas into my mouth and I can just swallow it. And that will cut out all the banana and square time substantially, which will free up my time to work on other projects. That's why it's all this movement toward automation for me. Everything's got to be automated to speed up and streamline everything. I'm slowed down by the lack of automation I have currently. I do walk as much as I talk. For example, you guys could say, you're not a businessman. When's the last time you did taxes for your businesses? I'm doing taxes right now. You guys act like I'm playing video games, wasting my life away. I'm working as we speak. That's a lie, Ice Cosine. You were here the day I worked on my Twitch chat bot that I'm creating. That's working on a project. I do spend a substantial amount of time making plans for projects because I've started a lot of projects over the past few years. All of which I will finish on stream. I don't start a project that I'm not going to finish. There are a very small number of exceptions to that rule, however, such as I was going to build my own tandem kayak, and then one day my dad said, you know what, how about I just buy you a tandem kayak? And I was like, okay. I mean, how can I say no to that? If it were my money, I'd rather build one. It's cheaper and it'd be a fun project. But if it's somebody else's money and they're just gonna buy it for me, well, shoot. Like that frees up time to do other stuff. So I did choose to take that offer. Does that make me a quitter? I don't think so. I focus on one thing at a time. I take a bite out of that thing, and then I set it aside and grab the next thing. Rinse and repeat in a cycle. I have many concentric circles of various cycles interwoven throughout each other. I divide up my time strategically, and I execute. I constantly am executing. And all of my projects are getting completed simultaneously at the same time, little by little. You guys get to watch it all. I envy you. None of my bot ideas are of bots that involve technology that's not yet here. I make no claims to create technology that doesn't already exist. Now, will I ever invent technology that was heretofore never invented? There's a good possibility. I mean, for example, the robot arm that pumps gas. That's never been done. But is there robot arms? Yes. Nobody just has put one on a card to have it pump their gas. So I combine technologies sometimes, but I've never created anything new, so there's nothing far-fetched about it. Except maybe it could be far-fetched to you to think somebody has the motivation and follow-through to actually execute on big ideas that take a lot of effort, but that ideas themselves aren't that complicated. Heck, students make robots. Like, in one semester, they can make a simple robot. My robots are a little more complex than a student robot and take more time, and there's a lot of projects, so that takes even more time. But that doesn't make the projects any harder. It just makes them more time consuming. I focused on my 50-year video game for 20 hours over the past 3 days. And now I'm probably not going to even look at it for several days. And then I might put in another 3 hours one day. Like, that's how it works. I juggle projects. Lately, the video game project has been on my radar a lot, but I can set it aside and promote other projects anytime. They're all in a rotation. I'm not gonna just devote myself entirely to one project for a very long period. There's plenty of room to make these things. The robot whale, I'll probably have to make in sections and then move it out of my room and assemble it on location before releasing it into the ocean. Oh, I didn't tell you about the robot deer, so I'm going to make a robot deer that hunts and kills other deer who will never suspect a thing because it looks like a deer. It eats them, and then it regurgitates them onto my floor in my room, where I will gather it up and create deer jerky from it. So that will be a great source of protein for me. That idea, admittedly, it sounds the most ridiculous, but it's also like one of the most creative things I ever thought of, and I think it's a great plan, even though it is illegal, I think. That'd be considered poaching. Unless if the deer had the deer would have to have a deer tag to kill a deer, which I could do. Even though that's kind of weird to give a deer tag to a deer. Because a deer tag means a tag permitting a hunter to kill a deer. So giving a deer tag to a deer to kill a deer is kind of odd. Yeah, I'm going to create a robot whale. So it's going to be a robot whale that swims around in the ocean, has solar panels on its back. Within it are many humanoid robots that grow crops. The idea of a robot whale is free farmland. So you can have aquaponics farms located within the whale. The whale swims around, avoiding international waters, patrolling entities and submarines, and just doing its own thing. And quadcopters can fly out to the whale to deliver supplies and pick up finished crops to sell at the marketplaces, or just to have people I know get free food. The nice thing about it is you can scale it to as many whales as you want and never have to pay property taxes. And you can also raise livestock within your robot whale. It's untapped farmland inside the ocean. And it's all free. There for the taking. I don't know why more people don't do it. I don't want to make sci-fi books. I want to make all this stuff become a reality. And it's not science fiction if I make it for real. So my life will be a sci-fi book then, according to that logic. My life will be science fiction. How's the robotic arm going? Well, if you're referring to the robotic arm to pump fuel for a vehicle automatically, I have only written that project down about a week ago, and I created a video announcing the project for my YouTube channel about 3 days ago, so that's the extent of that project so far. A design plan, an announcement to my fans. I also announced it to my father and my wife. And that is progress. That's more than just an idea. That's an idea that's been officially documented, explained, designed in great detail, visualized, recorded, and spread. So it's locked in, and it's also been added to the to-do list. It's a done deal. It's going to happen. But you can't add every new to-do list item to the top of the to-do list. That's not how it works. You got to add it to the bottom. It has to wait its turn. Otherwise, you'll end up with shiny thing syndrome and just run after the latest idea and never work on the older ones. So this is a disciplined approach to avoid letting hype and excitement affect your order of operations. So I never permit myself to work on a fresh idea. It has to marinate, has to have time. Oh, the robot arm I started 2 years ago. Well, that's not really a robot arm. That's more specifically a full humanoid robot that's only had the arm completed as far as the structural supports and everything, the bones. I'm currently 80% of the way through developing the rib cage and spine to attach the robot arm onto. From that point, I will be adding in all of the electronics which will enable that arm to build the rest of its humanoid body. So it will build its other arm, it will build its own head, it will build all of its own cooling systems, it will build all of its own realistic silicone skin, it will build its own legs, and it will also begin manufacturing products for me and possibly do my hair transplant operation on me. So in other words, I don't have to build the whole robot. I only have to build a working arm and torso for the robot to build itself. And if you're thinking that sounds really wild, that you can just build a robot arm and it builds the rest of its body, you're right, that is really wild. And it's such an outside of the box way of doing things that it took me literally years before it dawned on me that that was a possibility. I never even considered it. But it actually is, I'm not lying, it actually is doable. I went through it in great detail and I discussed it with my Twitch chat about a week ago, and I am releasing a YouTube video about it. It's a very exciting new update because it means there's years less work that I need to do to build a robot, since I get to jump straight into the coding and electronics without building all the other bones and all these other aspects. The robot will build its own that stuff, so that saves me time, me doing that myself. And because I was going to have the robot make other robots anyways, I was already going to have to give him the capability of part fabrication and part installation. So why not code in those capabilities right away, as opposed to building the first robot or two robots by hand and then coding them to build other robots? Like, that seems like a waste of time when you could just code them to build themselves and complete themselves and other robots right off the bat. I'm not acting. You cannot follow me because this is not an act. This is all legitimate. If you have any doubt about the possibility or functionality of a single arm that can build the rest of its own body, I'd be more than happy to explain any technical difficulties you can envision and explain their solutions. Maybe that will give more believability to my proposal. You cannot sub because I'm not a liar. I tell little joke lies here and there. And I might exaggerate some things a little bit at times. But I don't do it maliciously. I think intent is very critical when you call someone a liar. It depends on their intent. But when it comes to all of this stuff I've been talking to you guys about today, building all these things, those are not lies at all. I gotta tell you, Opius, people like you are a dime a dozen. I call you all doubters. But all the doubters will be put in their place soon enough. And I envy you all. Every doubter that comes across me has such a treat in store. The depth of your skepticism will be directly proportional to the level of awe, amazement, and wonder you will experience when I do prove your skepticism to be wrong. You will be my biggest supporter and fan. Those who thought everything I announced that I'm going to do is easy and that I probably will do it will not be impressed or shocked or amazed when I do successfully achieve it. They'll say, shrug, could have done that myself, no big deal. It's the real confident doubters that will have their mind blown. And that is a tremendous motivator for me. Because at the end of the day, I'm just a little boy that wants to make his dad proud and make all the doubters proud. And I want to impress people, and I want to get attention, and I want to make people inspired, and I want people to think highly of me. I have plenty of money to design all these things. Building a robot is not expensive at all. Now, granted, if I didn't live in my dad's basement, money would be a lot tighter. So, in that regard, you could say that my dad is funding my projects. It's almost like a government grant. Because if you took away my dad out of the equation, then everything free I get from him, house, rent, electric, food, all of that would be stuff I'd have to pay for. So then I would have to put a lot more effort and energy into making money. But because all that stuff's for free, I have a lot more income that I can just put directly into savings and investing in my own businesses. So yes, I am very well funded, actually. If you look at it from that point of view, I'm extremely well funded as a scientist. I make 5-figure income, guys. I've told you that. That's not zero. 5 figures, that's a lot of money. That means over $10,000 a year. I bring home the bacon. You guys think I make zero and you're wrong. Where do I work? Right from this chair. I make all of my great fortunes while you guys watch. Five figures, soon to be 6. And then 7, then 8, then 9, then 10. I don't know if I'll ever make more than 10 figures a year. That's $1 billion a year. I don't know if I'd make that annually. I might accumulate $1 billion, but to make that annually? That would be hard for even me, if you can believe that. So I do have limits.